Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to the channel Flash001 USA, where all your dreams come true. Yeah, right. Today's Tuesday, June the 26th, the year is 2023, and it's right around 1 p.m. Now, the last garden video I made, near the end of that video, I was explaining to you guys how I made my compost. And I know there's some people out there that would probably find this useful, so I decided to show you guys how I make mine. It's simple and straightforward, and the thing about it is it'll save you a ton of money. Now, I'm going to be editing in and out of this video, so I'm not going to drag you through the whole process, but I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of how I make this stuff. You'll see how it's done, and hopefully any of you out there that do gardening or would just like to know how to make the compost yourself and save a lot of money, this will be helpful to you. Now, previously, near the end of the last garden video that I made, I brought you guys behind the studio and I let you see some of the compost piles that I made up. And I also gave you a quick drive-by and an explanation of how to make this stuff yourself. Well, since yesterday, I started making up more compost. And right now, I'm near the end of it. So I figured since I've got just the last little bit to do, I would go ahead and make a video and let you guys see how I make it firsthand. As mentioned on that video, there's no rocket science involved with this, and you only need two main ingredients. The first thing is going to be a carbon-based material. The second thing will be a nitrogen-based material. It'll basically be a 50-50 mix of each. Now, for the nitrogen-based material, I'm using lawn clippings because I'm out here cutting grass today. You can see it's pretty green when I dig into it, man. It's hot and it's already dried it out on the surface. But the nitrogen-based material can be anything green that you can easily work with to mulch down. Anything you see in this camera can be used for nitrogen, including the giant poke salad right here, and that one right there, and the other tens and thousands of them on this property here. But anything that you can break down that's fresh and green material, that's your nitrogen. For the carbon-based material, this would be stuff like leaves that have fallen off of trees at the end of the summer and landed on the ground. They sat on the ground all winter long, and they started to break down and turn into this. Stuff like this right here. Believe it or not, you can also use material like cardboard, especially if you've got some cardboard that's been outside and it started to break down, it's bleached by the sun. This also makes a good carbon base that you can use with the compost. The same thing would apply to apple cores, potato peelings, or any other vegetable-based material that you can imagine that you would find in your fridge. Do not use any kind of grease or meat or animal into your piles when you make them. If you do, you'll be asking for trouble. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause the camera and put it up on the tripod. I'm going to dump this stuff on the ground and I'm going to spread it out. And then I'm going to add my carbon-based material on top of this nitrogen material. So take a standby. What I'm going to do now is spread it out a little bit. Okay, this is our nitrogen. Now I'm going to show you what I'm using for carbon. I'm going to pause the camera out and take you to that. Now, last week I went out into my woods and I used my push mower. And I vacuumed up all of last year's leaves, or the leaves that I needed for this to make this project happen. This actually smells really good. It's got a cedar smell to it. It's got an earthy smell to it, but it's just got a really good scent to it. This is our carbon-based material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this stuff into the wheelbarrow, and we'll take this and put it on top of that and spread it out, and then start mixing it together. So take a standby. All right. This is the carbon-based material. Just like I said, leaves that have been vacuumed up out of the woods using my push mower. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to sprinkle it right on top of this, and we're going to mix it together. Now we're off to the races. Now, once you start getting this stuff mixed up, it'll get easier and easier. As mentioned, no rocket science involved, but elbow grease for sure. That's close enough for this first go about. Now, what I'm going to do, I've got my garden hose hooked up. Watch this. Even though the grass has water in it, and even some of this carbon material or the dead leaves also have water in them because they were out on the ground when it rained, I'm still going to add water to this. These are going to be in open piles, so they're going to self-correct. They're not going to wind up all saturated and matted up, not in the least little bit at all. That's it. Now we mix again. There's no right or wrong way to do it, just do what works for you. You want to pile the pile up like a mountain. Let it be a natural pile. Get it as high as you can or as much as you want of the pile. I don't make large piles, and I want to tell you why. This stuff here, this is a younger man's game, okay? And to get out here and make these giant compost piles, like I've seen some on YouTube, and these guys are in their 30s. They look like they're ready to step into a boxing ring, you know, 6'5", 250 pounds, well built, in good shape on a farm. That's all good. Me, and I got a feeling that most of you are like me, you don't want to be out here sitting here working with compost piles that stand 4 feet tall. So I would rather make a bunch of small ones. Now with that said, there's something you need to know about this. When you make large compost piles, well, you got more fuel there, so you're going to create more heat. And you really got to keep an eye on them to make sure they don't overheat and constantly rotate them. These, they're small, less fuel, so they're going to go ahead and warm up. In the next couple of days, I'll be out here flipping them. I may even make short video clips of that and just keep the whole process on video and do another video at the end result of how this looks. In other words, you'll see it flipped each time I do it. But basically with these small piles, they'll be fast and hard. They'll go through and they'll heat up quickly. As the temperature drops on them, basically what I'll have is it'll look more like the carbon stuff. It'll look like the dead leaves. But the thing is, it's still going through the process. The breakdown of the material is still happening. Shoot, the stuff I got in the barrels over here, it's still breaking down. It never quits. It's organic. It continuously breaks down. Just gets better. It's like wine. It gets better with age on it. So now, build your piles up. For me, as mentioned, I'm not out here to prove that I'm Hercules. I'm not out here to hurt myself. I'm out here to make compost. It's a good feeling doing this. It's a good feeling knowing that not only am I saving money, but I know where the materials came from that are going into my garden. There you go. They're made up. Just like your great-grandpappy and your great-grandmammy wearing their combat boots would do. There's one more step we're going to do to this. Water. I did the same thing to these yesterday, but I'll throw a little bit more water on them, just on the surface anyhow. You can kind of go back if you want to or need to and just tuck them up a little bit. Tighten them up so they don't flatten out too much. Now, as they start to heat up and break down, they will start sinking in some. So expect that. There is shrinkage. Right, in a couple of weeks, I'll have a video showing this going through its process and let you guys see it each time I do turns on it. So I'll be recording all that information and you'll see how this stuff moves through time and what to expect if you do this for yourself. You see all these stakes and stuff I put out here? This discouraged deer from coming out here, hopefully. I don't even want to get started there. If I told you the story, well, you may believe it, some of you that live in the country. All right, catch you guys on the flip side. Flash 001 USA. We're signing off.